live and online. It's Sleepless with Steve and the Movie Book Club with your host, Steve Pulaski.
Back and better than ever, Sleepless with Steve, live on YouTube on this Wednesday evening. Dom acting so surprised as if he doesn't already have this time blocked out week after week. We come to you live and in living color every Wednesday evening, 6:30 Central Time, coast to coast, live on YouTube. And this is a show that's coming hot off the heels of so many deaths, we had to make a subject out of it. Usually we open in memoriam, but these celebrity deaths truly came in threes this time around, one after another. So due to the less amount of movie news than normal, thanks to the writer's strike and the actor's strike, all very worthwhile and all very meaningful strikes. Don't listen to Bill Maher. We come to you live and in living color though today to not only pay tribute to three really talented musicians, but also talk about a movie, that movie being Blue Beetle. We would have reviewed that last week, but I'm really glad that we took time and talked about Gran Turismo because there was quite a bit to talk about with Gran Turismo. As well, the fact, too, that I wanted really to wait for Joe for Blue Beetle because he does have background with the character that me and Dom lack. I could make the very mean joke and say because we went outside as a kid, but who would I be?
Oh!
Who would I be kidding on that one?
There's literally YouTube videos of you when you were like 8 years old reviewing movies on YouTube that you put yourself.
I was like 13. Let's get it right.
And like trying out
let's
products
get it.
Too. Steve Pulaski tries it.
Steve Pulaski tries it. Yes, motivate the few viewers we have to go back and look at the lowlights. But yeah, we are live and in living color today. Looking forward to this show. Good to have the gang together too. The next couple of months really are going to be kind of in limbo with what we're going to review. It's a really difficult, weird sort of time. Like this week too, you have My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3 coming out, which I don't think I was going to subject you guys to that. So I think next week we're reviewing BS High. Is that correct?
I'm pulling up the schedule right now, but I believe that's correct because I just got done watching.
I think so too.
Yeah, next week is BS High.
Cool. I'm looking forward to that. I still haven't watched that one yet. You know what I actually watched, speaking of random new movies before I lead you guys in and everything? You know what I watched yesterday? Me and Catherine watched it. And it honestly wasn't awful. It was a Comedy Central original movie that premiered on Labor Day. And it's called Office Race. It's got Joel McHale in it.
Okay.
It's not good. But you know what's interesting about this? Me and Catherine were talking about it when we were watching it, and I said this movie has like a very 2005 energy. And I mean that in like a pleasant way where it doesn't feel like algorithm streaming. Like it doesn't like it's not good, but it's not offensively bad and actually has a couple things going for it. Joel McHale plays a really great villain. Basically, the story of the movie is that this guy who's like a ne'er-do-well office worker trying to launch this app, he winds up joining his office's running group. So he gets into like running marathons and stuff like that. And it gets into sort of like light satire. The best elements are when it's like kind of prodding and poking these people who are obsessed with running. There's a great scene when he goes to a running store for the first time and his coworker's like, you're like, excuse me, Bill, where do you keep the saws just in case I get trapped in between boulders and have to saw my leg off?
That feels 2005.
It's got some things going for it. There's another good comment about shoes where it's like he goes $175 or whatever for these shoes, and then the guy who runs he goes, you're gonna need it, man. It's worth every penny. One time, broke my ankle in the first mile of a race. Still finished the race though. Like, as somebody who hates running, and for full disclosure, I don't run. So if you ever see me running, you better run too. As somebody who hates running, that's really funny. As somebody who has actually mulled over the impulse purchase of one of those magnets on the back of your car that like says 26.2 if you've run a mile, somebody who's mulled over buying a magnet that says 0.0, I took a lot of glee in sort of the satire on runners. But yeah, Office Race, you watched that yesterday. It's a Comedy Central original movie, which I didn't even know they still did those things.
I didn't either, actually.
I was watching Comedy Central last week and they advertised it, and I'm like, screw it. My schedule's looking pretty light. I'll check it out.
Speaking of like original base, like, channel movies, like Labor Day, my friend, she had her pool open for like the very last day of the summer before she officially closes it.
Fun.
And we were in her basement after we got done swimming, and like she loaded up Disney Plus, and they were talking about Disney Channel original movies, and they were like, "Joe, have you seen this one?" I'm like, "No," and like we went through like 50 movies that I've never seen because I was never really that much of a Disney kid, and I got like a ton of shit for it. And I asked them,
you could do that with me pretty easily too.
Yeah, I told them, I'm like, I don't think it's as common as you guys think. They were just like, "What kind of childhood did you have?" I'm like, dude, I maybe watched like one or two of these, and it was really just the animated ones, like the Kim Possible movie, like is one of them, for example. But like, I barely watched those Disney Channel original movies. I was hyped as hell for Drake and Josh Go to Hollywood. Like,
that was an event. That was an event when that movie premiered, and that movie still holds up.
Yeah.
That Merry Christmas, Drake and Josh is not very good.
No.
But Drake and Josh Go Hollywood is a solid movie.
It is.
Very
it is
solid.
Actually a solid. I remember watching it like, not recently, but like I forgot when I watched it again. But it was like years after Drake and Josh ended, and I was like, this still holds up. I think it was after the Christmas special came out, because I was like, man, that Christmas movie sucked.
They were too
Cartoon
old.
Network.
They were too old. They were too old at that point. The show had been off for 4 years, and like they really Josh lost a lot of his like goofy personality in that movie too. That movie just did not work.
No.
That movie did not work. I think Drake even openly admitted he did it for money. But at any rate, though, I've talked quite a bit for this intro. Joe, how are you?
I'm doing all right. I was gone last week due to a work. Oh God, why was I gone last week? I forgot. I was gone last week because I had something going on. I don't even remember what it was at this point.
I'm trying to remember what the hell it was myself.
My life is going by like that when I'm in school, so it's like trying to recall the days. Like, what was I doing on Wednesday? It was somewhere. I don't know. That's pretty messed up. I should really keep a journal of stuff.
Did you have a work? Did you have a work thing?
No, that's in 2 weeks. Well, I'm not going to be here for our.
Did you pass out and like?
I don't know.
Forget.
Why wasn't I here last week? See, if that doesn't tell you how my life has been going recently since school has started back up, and I didn't get longer than like a week off, that should tell you something. My brain is all over the place. I don't even know where I was a week ago from today. I'm literally trying to remember. I know what I did over the weekend. I cannot recall what happened Wednesday. It was a family function. That's what it was. Yes. I had to go get.
And what a load of bullshit too for a guy whose name on Twitter is Joe Viso sabbatical mode.
Sabbatical mode from Twitter because I hate.
What
that
a
place.
load of bullshit.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, I had a family get together. Somebody hit a milestone birthday. My aunt and big milestone birthday, 75. We wanted to celebrate it big and everything. Her kids were coming back into town and whatnot, so we were like, let's just. I should probably be there for that. She's also a survivor of breast cancer, so I wanted to be there and show my support. That's where I was, and in 2 weeks I will be gone for a work event, and then possibly in 4 weeks I'll be gone for a school event, but we're waiting to see on that one.
You let me know. You just let me know, man. You'll be missed. You will be missed. But then the onus goes on to Dom to run the show, or we have no show. Dominic, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing okay. It's we're here, man. We're in September, and it is stormy out here. I think for you as well, Joe. So we'll see. I don't think the power's going to go out.
It was
just
worse
context.
earlier.
Yeah, it really was. I'm thinking about starting a workout regimen. I'm thinking about it. Joe, I know you're probably the most athletic out of all of us.
You should do it.
And I'm going to start slow because work is thankfully, just a reminder, if you have workplace benefits, please take advantage of them because that's free money. So work is offering $600 for reimbursement for any workout thing you want. I could buy a $600 exercise machine, or I could get a gym subscription. So I'm going to do that for my local Bolingbrook Park
that's
district.
A sweet deal.
That's an incredible deal. So I'm taking it.
That's a sweet deal.
So yeah, they took one look at our department, and I'm like, yeah, these guys need help. But it was I'm gonna not get a gym membership yet because even though it's covered, I want to develop discipline and like just being able to wake up early, eat right, do some stretches and some push-ups first, and then we'll see how that goes. Because I don't want to just get a gym membership. And Joe, I might reach out to you separately and just like, hey, what's like a workout plan that you do when you go to the gym? Like, what do you do? Like reps and whatever.
Yeah,
and I know it'd be more advanced.
I have 3 ways you can start a workout plan. And hell, Dom, honestly, like, because I know I work close to you. If you want to meet up after work and be gym buddies for a period of time to help you get into the rhythm of things, let me know.
Yeah, we'll see. Because my schedule after work can be weird, but usually before work it's okay. And I'm trying to wake up early, but we shall see.
If you need help with that,
I'm putting it out there to put myself accountable.
If you need help with waking up early, give me a call. I'll let you know.
Yes, actually, very true. That is very true.
I'll let you know on that. No, dude, discipline is easily the heart. Like,
oh yeah,
it's the hardest thing to develop. And you know what the thing is, like, if you're confident, like just traits as a human being, if you're confident, people take note of it and they're like, that guy's, I work with a guy who's real confident. If you're like, I'm trying to think of something else, like just traits in people. If you're very positive, like that word gets around that you're a pretty positive, nice guy. Discipline is the most underrated and undervalued trait because people don't really take note of the guy who doesn't grab an extra cookie at the work lunch. You know what I mean? Like I say it as somebody who's not super disciplined myself. Like it's the hardest trait to achieve because it's also the most underappreciated and undervalued. Mm-hmm. I think about Tom Brady, who like even in the off season wouldn't drink one beer. You know what I mean? It's incredible. Like you have to be wired in a certain way in order to do it. Like it's probably one of the few traits you can't teach. Like you can go to there's all these confidence seminars and stuff. Notice how like for quitting smoking, there's no discipline seminar. It's fucking hypnosis. There's no discipline seminar. But at any rate, man, I wish you great luck with that too. And you got a good confidant in Joe when it comes to developing that.
For real. Just reach out to me whenever you're ready, my man.
Yeah, for sure. Also, we'll see what happens with these first 2 weeks. So just waking up early, push-ups, and just trying to eat right.
So you got to take baby steps.
That's what you got to do. We're going to dive in right now, too, because the second half of the show, we're going to be big in memoriam section for the three big musicians who passed away. But we'll start talking about Blue Beetle here. It's been almost about a month since I've seen this, so I got to almost double back. I reread my review earlier today at work to kind of get reacclimated with this movie and such. But, the DC universe is in such a weird place right now. It is in this really odd purgatorial space that's kind of unprecedented in a way because basically how many more movies do they have left before it completely the slate's clean? Is it just Aquaman?
It's just Aquaman.
It's just Aquaman, which
was a moneymaker for
which
context.
I'm not going to see.
Aquaman, big moneymaker.
So what were the 4 they burned off then? It was Shazam 2. Was Black Adam technically a burn off too? I think it was.
I think that was the start of it.
I think it was Black Adam, Shazam 2, The Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman 2 were the burn-off movies.
Yeah.
And then they just never released Catwoman. Or
Batgirl. Batgirl, they scrapped.
I bet they really wish they didn't release Catwoman, though.
The thing, though, is when I say these burn-off movies, I'm obviously talking about since James Gunn and Peter Safran took over DC. So these movies are done. They're completed. The money's been spent. But they're not going to have any bearing on what the rebooted DC extended universe is going to look like for Gunn and Safran. So what you're getting now is a bunch of movies. I feel really bad for, I didn't see Black Adam or Blue Beetle. I think I feel the worst for Blue Beetle. I think I feel the worst because at least The Flash got a decent TV show. We did get one good Shazam movie. I didn't see this new one. And Aquaman, whatever. I don't care about Aquaman. But Blue Beetle, I feel especially bad for because the Latino crowd really has embraced superhero movies from the jump. And they finally get a hero with whom they can identify with a story that I don't think it's great in this movie, but the spirit is there. The immigrant experience is there. It's in this movie. The family connection is in this movie. And the thanks for their loyalty they get is an origin story for a character we are never going to see again. Never going to see again. I'm amazed just the fact that Warner Brothers decided to release this. This was supposed to be an HBO Max movie.
Yeah.
This was supposed to be an HBO Max exclusive that Zaslav implored would get a wide release in theaters due to the fact that they wanted to refocus more on the theatrical side of the business, which I can applaud in its own right. But at the same time, though, I was quietly anticipating this thing. This movie has like an Ant-Man quality, in my opinion, where it's like it revolved around a lesser-known hero that only real devout comic book readers would know. There's not a lot of expectations that come with a movie like this. So I'm always interested in these superhero movies, even though I'm pretty much done with Marvel now at this point. At the same time, though, I don't think this is a good movie. I don't. I think this movie has a lot of issues with it. None that are like, it doesn't make it a terrible movie, but I do think that there are issues amuck with this thing that I will get into. Last point I'll make, director of this movie, Angel Manuel Soto, was the director of a movie that was very underrated that we reviewed on the show. Soto directed Charm City Kings.
Yep.
And which we all liked. We all really liked. They took that thing off of HBO Max, disappointingly. You can still rent it, though, on Vudu. Highly recommend checking out Charm City Kings. Meek Mill was in that, too, right?
Yeah.
Meek Mill was
some
in
Baltimore erasure. Come on.
That was a really cool, like inner city grungy movie. I like Charm City Kings a lot. We both had we all had a ton to say about that.
Yeah.
That's kind of my 1 cent on Blue Beetle. I'll give my other cent here in a minute. We'll go Dom then Joe for general thoughts on the latest DC movie.
At the heart of this movie, it's hard to tell whether it's the most generic and bland superhero movie you'll see this year or the most spirited and family oriented one. I've lost all sense of time frame as to what superhero movies released this year, but it really straddles the line between those two. And what it'll eventually come out is this movie will be clawing away at my mind to see if it gets a low middling or a middling kind of verdict. But for me, it is bright and it is colorful and it is floaty. It's very floaty, and that's not good. Bright and colorful can go either way, but floaty is something you don't generally want to be. And that has a feeling. It has a feeling of like low TV. That's the rapid pace in which we blow through a lot of this movie, and kind of skipping around because what's the final runtime?
2 hours and 14 minutes, is it?
Yeah, it's almost, it barely crosses over into 2.5. Like, I mean, it's closer more to the 2 hour mark.
I think it's 2 hour 14 minutes, I believe, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's
2 hours and
it's
7
incredible.
minutes.
Oh, damn, I was on the over.
This movie personally did not drag.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily a compliment. Like, it just blew through everything. Usually that's a compliment where it's like, oh, it didn't drag at all. It's like 2.5 hours. I didn't even feel that. Well, I feel the same. 2.5 hours. I didn't even feel that. What did we do in those 2.5 hours? I kind of don't remember. I kind of don't care. And that really, really, really sucks because, as Steve alluded at the beginning, the strongest aspect of this movie lies in, as Joe is displaying for us, the family.
Oh, fuck. There we go.
Yeah.
That virtual background's getting dust on it too, Joe.
There is a heart here, but it's beating at such a rapid, frenetic pace and in a very cookie cutter way that I just did not really care for it walking out of there. Some fun moments and some other things that we will compliment, but out of the whole, I just it as Steve said, it is going to be forgotten. because of the studio. But it acts like it wants to be forgotten as well. And I don't think this movie really had much of a chance to begin with. And we can get into more details. We'll gladly get into more details, but pass it on to Joe.
Before I start, I do want to clarify that as of now, Peter Safran and James Gunn have said that the character Blue Beetle and the actor will be appearing in his like revision of DC.
Is that new news? Is that new?
That was like over like whenever Cinema Day was. That was like that weekend. Like that all came out. It was
Okay,
like
yeah,
it was
that's
like blown
new.
on
That's
the
news to
radar
me.
though because it's just like no one cared. Like because
Right.
it's not really. It's like okay, so is this? And it was like, is this movie like the start to the DCU? And he's like, no, but that character. And it's like then nobody cared. Like it's just like, So we will be seeing this character played by that same actor, Zolo. You know, I love him to death in Cobra Kai, but I can never pronounce his last name. Mahiduen. I'm not gonna try. Zolo, my boy Zolo. He will be playing Blue Beetle again, but we don't know if this movie actually is connected or not. That's still like up in the air, and I honestly don't.
Maridueña. That's my best guess.
Mariduenda. Thank you. I probably.
That's
still
my
butchered
best
that.
guess. That's my guess, just from reading it.
I'm about as bad as the white people in this movie that just assume that like every like Mexican person.
Yeah, I would say Zolo Maridueña. Because you need that.
Joe, you're Mexican, right?
No, I'm Italian. You put an
You've
eagle.
gotten that
You
before.
put an eagle.
You had to have gotten that
Oh,
before.
dude, I gotten that all the time. My
Well, it's
principal.
because also a lot of your friends are also Latino.
Yeah,
Latino.
there's
so-
that. Yeah, I'm kind of like I'm maybe I'm like I have like the little like he's associated or whatever. He gets the little pass. But actually in elementary school, my principal called me Robert for like 3 years straight because I looked like a Mexican kid named Robert.
That's not even race based. That's just like his mind associating with a completely different person.
Anyway, so as Steve said at the start of this review, and then we'll probably go into intermission once I'm done wrapping up here. I am familiar with Blue Beetle because I used to watch the show Young Justice, which is kind of exactly what it sounds like. It's the Justice League, but with the younger characters. And Blue Beetle was one of them. And he was one of my favorite characters in the show because I really loved the struggle this character went through, which was this kid was actually going about life in the most positive way ever. He was like, I just graduated college. I'm going to get a good job. I'm going to help my family out of like, the poor neighborhood. I'm going to be a hero to them by being me, by using everything I've been building towards the entire time throughout my life and getting my family out of there. And then just unfortunately one day, this little like cybernetic thing from space latches onto him. And if you've ever seen like any other like recent like Venom, terrible movie, but if you want to see a better version of that movie, Upgrade is the one I'm actually trying to remember. Where it's just like terrible incident happens and it's like this person gets combined with an AI type thing, which is the Blue Beetle in this case. And his life is forever changed and now he's a superhero even though he doesn't want to be. Young Justice went into that dilemma, dynamic relationship between Jaime and the Blue Beetle so much, and just how much it took away from him not being able to like just be with his family normally, that he has this thing growing on him, and that at random this thing could just be like, we have to go fight crime, we have to go, and then just leave and take control over him and like and all this other stuff. It always made it so cool. I always loved that Jaime Reyes was like, because the original Blue Beetle was white, and I always thought the Latino version of this character was significantly much more interesting, especially the tragic backstory of just like the fact that like he had high hopes to get his family out of there, and next thing you know he becomes a superhero, and like he's like, oh, now I have no source of income as a superhero. So I always thought like, damn, like I can't wait for the Blue Beetle movie when they announced it. And then I heard they're, one of my favorite actors from the show, Cobra Kai, is going to be playing Blue Beetle. I'm like, awesome. The guy that was directing Charm City Kings, I'm like, dude, he's going to bring that street atmosphere to this movie. Oh my God, he's really going to nail home the home aspect of everything. And then they announced George Lopez was going to be in the movie. I'm like, oh my God, dude, this movie is cooking up a recipe here. Only to just go see the movie and leave it and go, well, that was just average.
Yeah.
I was really let down by this. My friends, especially my Latin friends, love this movie, and I totally see why. Because the biggest pro for this movie, the best thing going for it, is the Latin culture. This movie is unapologetically Latino. Everything they do in this movie, everything they watch, everything they listen to, is what I see my friends every time I hang out with them do in some sort of way. And I love this movie for that. And it's like the part of the Charm City Kings that showed that Baltimore bike scene so well. It was like on full display here when Jaime's hanging out with his family back at home, or when the families just interacting with one another. And George Lopez, I mean, like, for me, he worked. I was laughing my ass off throughout this movie when he was on screen. I thought at first he started out a bit like, okay, he might just be this kind of like wacko character, but as the movie went on, he really grew on me, and he was like my favorite thing throughout the movie. It's just, listen, if you're tired of superhero stuff, this movie's not going to do anything different. In fact, I think it does a lot of the cliche superhero stuff really bad. And if it weren't for the first two things I mentioned about, like, the family is actually like a really good character, and the Latin aspect to this movie, this would probably be one of the worst films I've seen this year, because I hated every second that this movie was a superhero movie. And you're probably
I'm so sorry. If this took place in the suburbs with like a WASP family, this would be disproportionately a boring ass movie. And if anything, this is kind of insulting to Latin culture, but it's like the only thing this movie has going for it is that it's leaning into it almost too hard. However, there is an air of authenticity because it's directed by Soto. But continue.
And I just was like, man, like, you're probably wondering, what do you mean by when it's a superhero movie? Like, whenever the fucking suit shows up, that suit goes on Jaime, that is when the movie takes a nosedive. Whenever the villains are on screen, that is when this movie takes a nosedive.
Yes.
It is like, oh my god, I see why this was gonna be a streaming release, because it's like, I'm not even saying, like, the film doesn't look bad. I thought the special effects actually looked good. I was like, okay, like, effects wise, these are fine. The suit looks a little rubbery at times when, like, you know, it's obviously a practical suit on him, and you can clearly see when it's rubber and everything. But I let that slide because I was like, overall, I mean, it looks solid. It's just, I'm just like, there's nothing new here. I watched this movie, and I'm just like, you messed up on two things. One, the Blue Beetle itself, the AI within Jaime, has no character to it whatsoever. It is just boring. It is just a flat-out AI that just intervenes every so often, compared to, and yes, I understand, I'm white, I have brown hair, and I wear glasses, and I am going to use this hero as an example, but compared to Spider-Man Homecoming, where Peter has the suit, Karen, that talks to him, and they have a relationship, and they bounce off one another. And it's like, wow, Karen was actually a character in that movie. And Peter had a relationship with Karen, and they work with each other throughout that whole movie. And there's like actual good chemistry there between Peter and the suit.
Or just any other like voice in the head of the main hero.
Again,
from like Cortana and Halo to whatever else, right? It's all interesting. Part
of my thing was, and it really didn't start to register with me till about maybe almost towards the end of the movie. I'm like, you know, it's never really clear what exactly the Blue Beetle is supposed to be. Either. Yeah. It doesn't really tell us like what it's supposed to be. This thing just overtakes him, and all of a sudden he's sprinting, and it sucks too, because, like, again, I never read the comics, so you're asking the wrong person here. But Jaime's origin story is really like a piss poor amalgam of Spider-Man and Iron Man.
And that's the thing, like,
that's how it's presented here.
It definitely is. It definitely is that. I've even seen comparisons to Paul Rudd's Ant-Man movie, where it's just like there's like just similarities to that as well.
The reluctant hero.
I just like, I'm like, man, like, yeah, it is like there are some comparisons, like you're saying, Steve, definitely to those two heroes. A lot of heroes in general always like piggyback off of like some aspect, but just what makes Jaime so relatable is the fact that, like, you know, you have this tragedy of like, I don't want to be a superhero, and it's like they have one scene, and it's when they're showing off the suit and all the cool stuff it can do, and it cuts a bus in half, he flies to space and everything. That's the only scene really, and then like the one right after where it's like, yeah, I definitely don't want to be a superhero because it's like I can't handle that. It's like there's no real drama to the fact that Jaime is dealing with this. It's just played for laughs, played for spectacle. There's no actual moment of like Jaime being like, damn man, like I was about to get a job. I was about to take care of my family. I was going to do this the right way. Now I got to do all this. Like now my family's under like investigation. People are looking for them. They're going to hurt my family. And it's just like you totally could have leaned into that more. And this actually would have been at least a solid superhero film. Where I would have been like, okay, yeah, I mean like it's got its generic moments of the superhero genre, but at least character-wise, story-wise, I was invested. I'm only invested in about like, I don't know, 60% of this movie.
The nexus, the point where I thought it could lean into something deeper is when the big I don't care if I spoil this movie at all, but like when the big raid happens,
yeah,
and it's like they're all like, dude, we're gonna get raided soon, and it's like and like there's all these different levels of the stuff. It's like we could die,
yeah,
we could, like we have to protect the scarab, they're coming for Jaime, all this other things that are bigger in theory,
yeah,
but their first thought is, oh my God, our documentation. It's like, okay, that's unique.
Yeah.
That is actually something very relatable for that segment of the community, or just anyone that has, that needs documentation, et cetera. And it's like, they don't tap into that at all. And from there, it's just below surface level.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it there.
I was about to say one more thing, but we'll go to intermission.
We will cut to intermission here, come back in about 60 to 90 seconds, continue this conversation about Blue Beetle, and also get to the in memoriam segment of the show. Don't go anywhere. Back soon. Sleepless with Steve. Back and better than ever, Sleepless with Steve, back from our Zoom-sponsored intermission on this Wednesday evening. Hopefully you had a good Labor Day. It's funny, we didn't talk at all about the Labor Day holiday in the opening minutes of this. So I hope you guys had a good Monday. Hopefully you had Monday off, or at least portion of Monday off. I was back home with family, me and Catherine visiting some family and stuff like that. So I had a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys did too. It's always nice because tomorrow's already Thursday. The week's been flying right on by, first full week of September. But you were going to make one additional point about Blue Beetle, Joe. I don't want to cut you off too deeply so you forget that.
Yeah,
point.
yeah. So I was saying, like, if it would have chimed into the drama of that situation, as well as the villain of this movie. Look, we have like a bare bones CEO villain that is played by what's her name? Hold on, I had her written down.
Susan
Sarandon. Susan Sarandon, who is just sleepwalking through this movie practically with her lines. It
was kind of fun to see a very disengaged Susan Sarandon. I've always liked her as an actress. It's kind of fun to see a very disengaged Susan Sarandon here.
And they do something. There's two villains in this movie. The second villain, they do something really interesting with him in the last 5 minutes of the movie. And I was just like, well, if we would have known this, like, at some point and really built the story around it, there could have been a good dilemma situation of, like, he wanted to support his family for XYZ, and this is what happened to him. And Jaime wants to support his family. And it could have been, like, this clash of, like, he's just trying to support his family because, this is the working condition of a Latino man in America, or a Latin family man in America, whatever it may be. It was like, damn, that was right there in front of you, and you didn't take it. Like, oh, man. There's
a lot of things right in front of this movie that it doesn't really seize.
And it makes me feel like, sorry, Dom, and I swear to God, I'll let you guys talk. It just makes me feel like it's because this was originally an HBO Max movie. The director, the cast, and the crew were like, okay, look, it's just for Max. We're just going to hit these points, and that's the movie. Like, we're not going to, like, we're just going to do these. Because for an HBO Max film, I would have been like, yeah, I mean, it's a solid superhero film. But for something theatrical, I'm just kind of like, I just was expecting a little bit more. Because it's like, well, then why the hell was this bumped up to theatrical release? Because it's like, other than the Latin culture here and the significance of that, this is as bare bones as it gets in terms of just a superhero movie.
Yeah, I would agree.
Is there a single fight scene you can remember?
No.
At all?
No, actually, the ending, the raid on, like, the villain lair. Mostly because, like, they once again, they got a record drop or a needle drop at the end of that movie.
The music was, I didn't look into the soundtrack at all, but just the music that I remember from the movie, it was like, okay, this is kind of hitting.
Yeah.
Not that I do know Sabora Me, which is the ballad at the end.
Yeah. But when they played Motley Crue, I was like, okay, I mean, what the hell is this?
Yeah, what the hell was that? I'm like, is there some significance there with the Latin community that likes Motley Crue? But if not, then it just felt like a really, really generic, like, ass kicking moment in a
every time I hear that song, I don't know if you guys ever went to them, but every time I hear that song, was a Kickstart My Heart.
Yeah.
Was that the song in the movie?
Yeah.
Every time I hear that, though, I think of Chicago Wolves games, the hockey games. That has been the Chicago Wolves on ice entrance song since like 1998.
Oh, Jesus.
It has not changed. No, it's still. I went to a Wolves game last year. I can confirm it is still Kickstart My Heart.
They're worried that like the dads from the 80s are going to get pissed and be like, "Oh, I said they changed the team."
I knew like all the words of that song when I was like 4 or 5 years old because we went to so many Wolves games. And it is just like the Allstate Arena looks the same. It is still Kickstart My Heart every time they take the ice.
That's actually really funny.
Anyway.
And also more interesting. I kind of want to talk about that now. But no, are we just going into final arguments for him? Closing thoughts?
Truthfully, I don't have a ton more to add. The only thing that I will say is that like the movie didn't lose me immediately. It really didn't. The opening 30 minutes.
It had me going for a bit.
Kind of interesting in a way that it starts to develop Jaime and sort of the directionalist nature of his life. But I really am disappointed in the fact that like this movie, I think, is just going to be demolished in favor of this whatever bolder vision, quote unquote, Gunn and Safran have for the DCEU. And again, I my heart does break in a way for like the Latino community, given the fact that there's a good amount riding on this thing to actually do some representation and do that community justice for this movie. And what you get is instead, it feels a lot like, no, Tommy, we have Iron Man at home. Like that's unfortunately the vibe this thing really gives me. It's almost so mediocre, it's insignificant. Whereas it oddly enough made me appreciate the Flash more, because I went into the Flash with fairly low expectations. And
Yeah,
that movie genuinely impressed on some sort of difficult to achieve levels that I think it deserves credit for.
that's absolutely true, and it's not the Michael Keaton thing, not at all. There's something about Flash that I actually like. That
no, that was one of the weaker elements of the thing. Was that we both agreed one of the weaker elements of that movie was Michael Keaton.
Even I thought the same. I wasn't here for the review, but I thought when Michael Keaton showed up, that's actually when the movie lost me. My friends would kick my ass, though, if I were to go up to him and tell him, yeah, I don't know, man, I think The Flash was a better movie. And it was. Rate, I'm sorry, it just was.
I agree. I totally, you got my support on that.
I still hold by the opinion that Ezra Miller was the best thing about that movie. About that movie,
indeed. Like, it's crazy to say. I know it, but it's like, I remember leaving the theater going, I thought that was gonna be a dumpster fire. I had fun for the most part.
Is Ezra Miller the Zoomer Mel Gibson? No, he's not racist enough yet. He's just assaulted.
Not racist enough yet. 2 out of 4 stars for Blue Beetle. We'll go Dom, then Joe to send us home.
1.5 out of 4 stars, just because it's so blazingly generic. If it wasn't for the heart that is in this cast, or at least the family, I'll say the family, the sister did very well in this movie as well.
Oh, she was
very
great,
good chance. Everyone here had a chance to be the worst version of whatever they're playing, and about half of them did really well. The family did well. Nana, grandma, had a really fun twist to her. I really enjoyed her twist. I wish we could explore that a little bit more, and the themes there. Also, I just looked it up real quick. Grandma and mom of Jaime, 5 years apart in real life. So good work on the makeup department. But yeah, it's just forgettably generic, and it really hurts the movie here, to the point where it's like, wow, you're really trying. That ending actually like nailed it, in term, like nail in the coffin of like, oh my god, this is, you really tried here. You really tried to say something with like, oh, the henchman and the main villain, and try to do something with like, no, stop it. I kind of wish they just, it's like either lay into the camp more, or go into the more of the broodiness of it. But then no, I take that back, because then you're trying to get like a Zack Snyder thing, which you don't want.
Can I just
Can
I just add on to that, where it's like, another thing about that climax too is the whole movie, Jaime's like, no, I can't kill a person, that's messed up. And then the family just murdered like
George Lopez. Hey, let me just impale this dude with a freaking 1,000-ton like scarab machine. Just impale him without remorse. Oh boy, dude! What if they played Lowrider from like the song during that? That would have been great.
I would have given this movie a whole star up. I would have been like, yeah, I got
it would have been 2.
If they played better, or a one that I like more from that same group, Cisco Kid.
I think Lowrider would have been double, because it's just a good song. It's got the Latin representation, and also George Lopez TV show. I watched way too much George Lopez TV show as a kid.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll hold up now, but yeah, dude.
We're talking about Lowrider. I would have taken Lean Like a Cholo, for Christ's sake.
That would have been 2 on the nose.
Can't believe I'm making that kind of reference.
Put on Mr. 305. Any Pitbull song.
Joe. Actually, Pitbull? Because this is a Miami. This is a fictional city, right?
Yeah, it's like a fictional
but
Miami,
it's based off Miami.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, was there a Pitbull song in here? There should have been a Pitbull song in here.
No, I would have loved a Pitbull song in here, man.
Dude, if they had given this like some more personality, with not just throwing the song in there, but just like lay into I'm just trying to fix the movie now.
Except Pitbull made the music for Aquaman, not this movie. But anyway, I don't know.
Aquaman.
Anyways, I mean, like, what more can I even add on? I mean, we're hitting the same stuff over and over again, man. I'm so sad this is my first outing for Blue Beetle's first outing. Because immediately when they said they're gonna make this into a movie, I was like, okay. I'm like, you better have something here. And then they said HBO Max. I'm like, all right, it's probably gonna be just like an average movie at best. And then they said, no, we're doing it theatrically now. I was like, okay, well maybe they had something up their sleeve. And I forgot. I should have known. Zaslav is trying to set his new standard, of course, now that it was just going to be the same movie that was going to be on there no matter what. And the Latin community, like Steve has said, you guys deserve better than this movie. I know tons of them have loved this movie, but I still think you deserve a better movie at the end of the day. You deserve something that, like, I think really carries weight and will stand the test of time. I don't think anyone is really going to remember Blue Beetle when we get the Blue Beetle reboot and Gunn's reboot DC and everything. No one's going to remember this movie. For the first outing of a Latin hero on the big screen, it should have been much better than this. It is 2 out of 4 stars for me as well.
Yeah. Gone and most likely forgot. Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
Disappointing to say. Great review, gentlemen. We're going to segue very smoothly here. Sucks to kind of end the show on a down note, but I do think that the confluence of death this weekend for the music industry does merit at least some recognition and discussion. Usually when somebody significant dies, we open the show, kind of go around the table and just talk about some, aspect of their work that we liked or them, that what we knew of them or something like that. Well, this week we would have had to, again, at some point we would have had to make the whole show in memoriam because at this juncture, lost a lot of very talented individuals over the last couple of days, the music industry in particular. The deaths are, of course, Jimmy Buffett, Smash Mouth frontman Steve Harwell, and Gary Wright, who might be the lesser known of the three, but Gary Wright was probably best known for the song Dreamweaver. That song definitely also made a comeback. That song was released in '76, made a huge comeback in the movie Wayne's World, which is one of the kind of got Gary Wright back a little bit on the map. He's also done the song Good Song too, Love Is Alive. That was another one that he did as well. Obviously, the big one here, I think for a lot of people, is Jimmy Buffett, myself included. I'm a self-described parrot head. I don't know if it's funny. A lot of people don't realize how big of a Jimmy Buffett fan I am. I should have brought the stuff over here. I have the Margaritaville shrimp in my freezer. I have a pair of Margaritaville loafers. I just bought the drink mix online as well. I'm a big Jimmy Buffett fan. I even looked on my phone this weekend too after he died. I have 16 of his songs on my phone. I love Jimmy Buffett dearly. And last year it was funny because around this time last year, he died on the 1st of September. So it was about like a year and 3 days prior, I went for the first time to one of the Margaritaville restaurants.
Really?
And I didn't even expect to go because there's none in Chicago. There's none in that area. There really isn't. I didn't even know where I was going. It was me and my best friend, Nick. We went to Minnesota. We went to go see a Minnesota United soccer game. And we went to Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin to go to the Leinenkugel Brewery. Well, what do you do in Minnesota? We went to the Mall of America.
Yeah,
we spent probably there's 6 hours in the Mall of America, something like that. It was fun at the same time exhausting. But maybe like half an hour into walking around, I'm like, holy shit, there is a Margaritaville in this place.
Yep.
I told Nick, I said, yeah, we're going in there. I'll buy. I said, we're having drinks. I'll buy. I don't care. We got like 3 different drinks. I got a shirt. It was great. It was biblical. And then I was like just pissed that there was no Margaritaville. There's no Margaritaville like locally where I'm at. There was growing up, and I did go there before I was really invested into Jimmy Buffett. There was a Cheeseburger in Paradise near my house. There's
one at Navy Pier.
Is there still? I thought they're done. I thought they're out of business.
That's embarrassing. There used to be one, a Cheeseburger in Paradise on Lombard in Lombard.
I think you changed your voice
Road.
inadvertently.
Yeah, unless if you just hit puberty again.
No, the one
wasting away.
There we go. There's Dom.
No, Dom, that location is the one we went to.
Oh, okay.
That
Okay, sorry.
location is the one we went to, the one on Butterfield.
Got it.
Yeah. So that was a good place. I remember that place being really solid. Margaritaville was solid too. Yeah. But point being though, I love Jimmy Buffett. I truly do. I love his music. I like the kind of island escapism that he brings to his music. The one thing too about Jimmy Buffett that I always admired was he was a better songwriter, I think, than he got credit for, and he knew how to twist sort of ideas around in music. There's a lot of his deep cuts that I feel like even some of his fan base doesn't know about. A lot of his deep cuts are very deceptively smart. There's a song called Simply Complicated that he did somewhat recently that kind of talks about like sort of the perplexing elements of life. He's got one song. I hadn't heard this song in about maybe 10 years, but I was just doing some clicking around on Wikipedia and I found it again. And it's a song off of his album, his 24th album from 2002 called Far Side of the World. I highly recommend. I should send this song to you guys after we're done. The song it's one of those like, what is life all about? The title of the song is What If the Hokey Pokey is All It Really Is About.
Oh man.
It's a great song. And that was kind of his like lighthearted, but also like existential in a way. Like some of his songs he would grapple with sort of like a lot of his earlier stuff would kind of grapple with like why we spend so much of our lives doing things we hate and so little of our lives doing the things we love. I think he was a deceptively smart songwriter, and he's somebody I'm really gonna miss. You also have Steve Harwell from Smash Mouth, who passed away at 56. Obviously, Smash Mouth, known for one of the top 3, maybe top 2 millennial anthems of all time, All Star. The song that was in every movie released from 2000 to 2004. Still a hardcore banger to its core. Steve Harwell kind of had a very rough ending. The last time he was seen in public, did I send you guys the video? Did I send you guys the video of his last performance with Smash Mouth? I just happened to see it on TikTok when it happened. And he was performing at like a beer and wine. Smash Mouth was performing in New York at a beer and wine festival. And he was drunk beyond coherency. He was threatening this woman in the audience that he was going to kill her entire family and did the Nazi salute. Yeah, I should have sent this to you guys.
All right.
Yeah. And then the following day, he left the band. The following day he left the band, and the next time he made headlines was when he died. Was this past week. So he had incredible. He was an alcoholic. He was a good drinker from the sound of it. He was in hospice for final stage liver failure. That was ultimately the cause of death. I guess I should have said too that Jimmy Buffett, I hate to say it, but fittingly died of skin cancer. And then I hate to say it, but it's so damn fitting.
Fun in the sun, baby.
He died of a rare and aggressive form called Merkel cell carcinoma, which I don't want to misquote or misjudge myself, but I think I might have included that in a cancer presentation I did in high school. Merkel cell, I think I included that. Sounds
it's so distinct. It probably
sounds oddly familiar. I think I had a blurb on that in a presentation in high school. Be that as it may, though, Steve Harwell also passed away, and then you had Gary Wright pass away too. His cause of death was Lewy body dementia and Parkinson's disease, which both are horrific illnesses. But I don't want to go too long-winded on my love for Jimmy Buffett, because let me tell you, I can tell you how comfortable them loafers are. I can tell you how one of the best frozen meals you'll ever eat is the Jam and Jerk shrimp or the Sunset Shrimp Scampi. I could go long-winded on that. I could also tell you that I got a pair of Margaritaville Crocs coming in the mail, too. I could also include that. But I guess these 3 artists are very popular, very accomplished. We'll go Joe, then Dom. If you just want to say, you could pick one or just the ones you resonated with, how you took the news. Just it's an in memoriam segment, if you will.
I'll go with Jimmy, because Steve Harwell, other than Smash Mouth, I really didn't know him for much more. And after just hearing what you told me, it's like, oh man, okay. Rest in peace to him and his family, I guess. Best condolences and everything to the Harwell family. I hope you guys didn't fall out of touch after what happened on that stage and everything. And I hope towards the end of his life he was at least fixing all that. I honestly do not know. I don't really know much about Gary Wright. I'm not familiar with him at all, which sucks to say. I'm even trying to remember the Wayne's World song as well, and it's honestly not coming to my mind. But I'll pick Jimmy as one just to kind of go into, because I grew up going to Margarita. And by the way, it's not Cheeseburger in Paradise anymore on Navy Pier. It is now officially a Margaritaville. It still sucks though. It's not good. I don't recommend going there. I went there last year and my margarita sucked and my chicken tenders sucked.
They got tendies wrong. They fucked up the tendies.
They got tendies wrong. Yes, like I ordered just an order of chicken tenders, just like a quick snack while we were at Navy Pier. And they
I didn't know this was at Navy. Well, I don't like Navy Pier personally. I really don't.
Yeah.
So like, I guess I'm not surprised.
The coolest thing is that they have a to-go bar where you can carry your margarita around while you're at Navy Pier. As the best thing about that store. But I'm more familiar with Jimmy Buffett because of Margaritaville. Not really his music, but because I just got sucked into the Margaritaville lifestyle. I went to the restaurant a ton of times in Orlando because my parents loved going to Orlando. They always preferred taking me to Universal than Disneyland because there weren't as many kids and it wasn't as long of lines and annoying and everything. And there was a Margaritaville there. I also, and Steve, if you're a big, Jimmy Buffett fan, you like Margaritaville, dude, you gotta stay at a Margarita Beach resort someday. It is.
Oh, I'm planning on it one of these days, Alice.
It is actually really good. Like, the restaurants themselves can be average to all right. Like, from time to time. Like, I've eaten at the one at Mall of America. That's one of the better ones, personally. But the one at Navy Pier sucks. The resort itself is really good. They all have personal chefs there. So the food is exquisite. The atmosphere is just completely Jimmy Buffett out. And they're a lot of fun to go to. So it's like, as much as I wasn't familiar with this man's music, I'm familiar with the empire of Margaritaville buildings he has built throughout the years, and the giant margarita blenders, and the the planes that he has hanging up and everything, and the whole the restaurant goes dark, and then all of a sudden he comes back out. He's like, I think we reached Margaritaville, and then they play the song and everything. Like, it's a fun atmosphere to be at.
Pop quiz. Just to interrupt you. Pop quiz over here, though. Jimmy Buffett's net worth is not concrete, but I've seen estimates like north of $700 million.
That makes perfect sense.
Incredible empire he's built. Here's my question. How many number one songs does he have?
I feel like two.
Yeah. Like Margaritaville, maybe
number
zero.
one? Hold on. Oh, number one. Okay.
None.
That makes sense. Actually, that also makes sense.
The highest charting single that he ever had was Margaritaville at number 8.
Damn.
That sounds right.
He doesn't have many big hits. Now, It's 5 O'Clock Somewhere was a number one hit.
That's why,
but he's a feature.
One.
That's Alan Jackson.
Son of a bitch.
That's Alan Jackson's song.
My life
he's
is
just
a lie.
He's just a feature on that one. But that's the other crazy part about Jimmy Buffett is for a guy that did not have many chart success, he sold a lot of albums and he made a ton of money with as Joe was saying, the resorts, the restaurants, the casinos, the food products,
merch.
the books, the merch. Believe me, I have a couple shirts. He did a ton of different things. He even had those retirement communities. With those resorts too. You were talking about them resorts, Joe.
They have retirement communities built into them, some of them.
I don't know if it was at the one you were at, but I've heard some of the resorts, what they do is they give you a lanyard you put your hotel key on a lanyard so it's there when you're too drunk to find it.
Yeah.
Even the margarita, and this is how specific he got though with things, and I think just in terms of a visionary, how cool he was. I told you guys I ordered a pair of Margaritaville Crocs. They'll be the first pair of Crocs I ever owned. There's actually a bottle opener attached to the right Croc.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Which is pretty sweet, I can't lie. Anyway, continue.
That might be a weapon.
I don't think you wear those to the airport, Steve.
No, I'm just gonna say I'm not taking those with me to the airport. Trust me. But
I'll wrap it up with this. I if you want a good companion piece to the whole Margaritaville thing, go watch Eddie Burback's video of him visiting every Margaritaville in America.
Yes.
As well, and if you have time, watch the Rainforest companion piece with it as well. They did Rainforest first, then they did Margaritaville, where they go and visit every single one in the country. I highly recommend watching that video. It's a lot of fun, and it's just cool to see each resort or what each Margaritaville does differently than the other. They're also just really funny videos. You can also watch Ted. What's his last name? Dom.
Nevison,
Nevison, who is in the video as well, but you can watch it from his point of view on his channel. If you want to spend 2 hours watching basically a Margaritaville movie, like the Margarita road trip movie, I should say. But that's all I'll say. Rest in peace to all of them. I do mean that sincerely. Jimmy Buffett was the one I just knew the most knowledge of, just because of the resorts.
Dom, send us home.
It's been a tough couple of weeks for white people with these deaths.
And they had to watch Blue Beetle.
Yep. Oh boy. Yeah. Only thing I'll say about Jimmy Buffett is that Chelsea and I went to the wedding reception of her childhood friend in Las Vegas at the Margaritaville. So that was a great wedding reception. People got drunk because it's Margaritaville in Vegas, baby. I will say about Harwell, though, he's a very much more interesting case. It's a tragic story. The documentaries on that dude are going to be a deep dive because that dude lived a wild life and nobody cared.
That would be one of my requests for the Bill Simmons, if it ever comes back, the Music Box documentary series on HBO. That would be one of my, call it Smashed Mouth. That would be one of my documentary requests for Bill Simmons Music Box documentary series.
I haven't done any research, but it just looks like, from the sparse videos I've seen throughout his career, that it looks like he's like 30 years late to the 27 Club. And he is like the guy who sang All-Star. That's what most people know him of. But his career has had it. I'll just say, let's all just center it around All-Star, because that's really what I know. That's all we know. All-Star has had a crazy life as a, 2000s pop rock banger, a hit, and then something very nostalgic, and then the anthem for millennials as life is increasingly getting more and more difficult for us. And then a COVID song, an anti-mask COVID song when they did the Sturgis rally. And then apparently now he's a freaking fascist. But it honestly just sounds like he had such a troubled life. We just don't know. And could it be white privilege gone too far? Who the hell knows, dude? I cannot wait for the first YouTube documentary to go really deep dive into it. The first 6-hour YouTube documentary on this dude's life. It might just wind up being very boring in the sense that he's just an alcoholic. But man, the memes on All-Star are incredible. And subsequently of him are absolutely astounding. I have seen like Bach chorale recompositions of All-Star. I have seen what happens when, what if you alphabetize the whole song? Like the lyrics are alphabetized and they cut the music video as if, because could I take it back to film? All-Star made its debut with the Mystery Men movie.
Yes.
And if you see the music video, that's how it's all based around Ben Stiller getting angry.
Literally, the climax of the movie Rat Race revolves around them going to a Smash Mouth concert. And the movie ends with All-Star being performed. Digimon. It's a stupid ending, but it's fun. Digimon the movie it's in.
Digimon the movie. I think it ends with the Digimon monster introduced in there. Bouncing around to All-Star.
Can I tell you one of my favorite memories from college radio was the Halloween party. We were all in the basement, like 20 of us, and I don't remember who started it, but the second somebody started, it got to a lull in the party. I don't know if you were, I think you were there, Don. This might have been after you graduated, though. It got to a lull in the party, and then all of a sudden you just hear one guy, I don't remember who it was, somebody once told me, and we all started. We sung the whole verse, the whole first verse and the chorus.
Yeah, dude. If you
collective groove right there.
I don't know what note that is, but if you hit that note and the word some, it'll just trigger something for people our age.
The Wikipedia, I think it's F major, truthfully. But you got to hear this.
It's on the one. So yeah, if it's F, then it's F. You just say F and say Psalm, and then Shrek. Oh my God, that movie lives in Shrek forever. And look, it's a great song. It's a fantastic song. The lyrics are extremely relatable. It's a fun song, and I know I know the whole freaking lyrics of that song, and I'm terrible with lyrics. That's why I like jazz. But like, dude, this guy has lived an amazing life. He's the dude who sang All Star, and amazing does not always mean positive or ethical or good, but it is amazing nonetheless. So the first official movie documentary that is on HBO Max or whatever that's about this dude's life, we're putting it on our list because I'm very curious. I'm very, very curious.
That Music Box documentary series damn near needs to make a comeback, man, because that was a great series that had that Kenny G documentary, which I think I brought up on the show a couple of weeks ago. That Kenny G documentary, that really good Alanis Morissette documentary was on there too. The only one I remember that sucked was the Juice World documentary. That was the only one I thought sucked. The DMX documentary from Music Box made my top 10 that year. I was appointment viewing the Music Box one. Probably the most popular now that I think about it was the first one because it was the one on Woodstock 99. That was probably the first one. Peace, Love, and Rage, I think it was called. But at any rate, though, had to pay some respect to Gary Wright, Jimmy Buffett, and, of course, Steve Harwell to conclude the show and to conclude this episode of Sleepless with Steve. Next week, we're reviewing BS High, brand new documentary from HBO, actually, from HBO Max. We will be chatting about that next week on the show. Good to see you guys, as always. And then the last week of the month, I put on the schedule No One Will Save You, the Caitlin Dever film as well. So going to be TBD on that, but I do think that would lead to a good review. And then September 29th has several movies coming out. Don't worry, Don, we won't make you sit through Saw 10.
Appreciate it.
We will not make you sit through Saw 10. I just rewatched, Catherine and I actually rewatched Spiral last night. And you know what? I like that movie. Joe, have you seen it?
Yeah,
with Chris Rock?
We reviewed it. You and me
we did. That's right. We did review it. I almost forgot we reviewed it. You know, I like that movie a hell of a lot more the second time around.
I want to give it another chance.
Hell of a lot more entertaining, I thought. I still think it's one of the best one of the best endings to any Saw movie. Best last 20 minutes. One of the best, most like cleanly wrapped up endings because it's not trying to pretzel itself back to the John Kramer saga.
Yeah.
But I thoroughly enjoyed Spiral second time around. Highly recommend a rewatch.
I love singing I'm gonna let him spin like a spiral. I don't.
Oh, that 21 Savage song. I ain't got no love for no rivals. Put them on the news. We went viral. I was geeking as soon as that, like, we watched the ending and like we're all like, this ending is so sad and tragic. Yeah. And then because it was Catherine seeing it for the first time.
I do 10 steps ahead.
Yep. Catherine staring at the screen, and then me. Everything I do 10 steps ahead. My youngin' got the bodies, he's still pissing the bed.
Dude, I still listen to that song to this day. I love that song.
Oh, that's a banger of a song. Capital B banger. I always thought I could do a rap song to a trap version of the Saw theme, and 21 Savage beat me to it. So don't even try. Why? Can't, like, to quote Bart Simpson, can't win, don't try. That's our show tonight on this Wednesday evening, Sleepless with Steve. We're back next week reviewing BS High, brand new documentary on a fake high school football team. We will dive into that next week on the show. Highlights posted on this very YouTube channel. Rest in peace, Jimmy Buffett, Steve Harwell, and Gary Wright. We'll see you next week on Sleepless with Steve.